paid good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth.
Everyone pretend podcasting isn't boring.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
My love for you is equal to a worn-out shoe. Nah, my love for you is like a cobweb hanging around. Da-da-da-da-da. My love for you is like a velvet crying clown.
Positively, the worst piece of trash I have ever heard in my entire career.
You left me for the open road. Where you went I didn't know, but now you say you're back to stay.
Thank you very much.
Isn't it good
Love you,
again? Isn't it right again? When you were gone I'd count the days.
Thank you, Mayor.
Way you'll promise me you'll never leave. Isn't it good again? Isn't it right again?
Why am I watching this?
Lost?
No, I just don't know where I am.
The true path is not to be found outside, but within you.
Though, darling, I've forgiven you, I can't forget what we
Hey folks, welcome to a special episode of the Projection Booth. I'm your host, Mike White. On this episode, I am talking with Bill Plympton. He is the director of many things, which we definitely discussed during this interview, but we concentrate on his 1992 film, The Tune, which is available now on Blu-ray and DVD from Deaf Crocodile. As I mentioned to Mr. Plympton, I've been seeing his stuff since the late 80s, early 90s, so it was a real pleasure talking with him. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this interview. Yeah, I've been a fan of yours for years. It's so nice to talk with you.
Oh, wonderful. I love that.
Did you have stuff in Spike and Mike's?
A lot of in Spike and Mike, and the tourney of animation also.
And then, of course, I was big into MTV when I was younger as well, and seeing all the bumpers and stuff that you did.
I did a lot, so they never gave me credit for those, which I thought was weird, but they were seen by a lot of people. Everybody knew my work, and they just didn't know, hey, who's that guy doing the color pencil? Oh, it must be the color pencil guy. That's all they knew who it was, so I never got credit, unfortunately. And that was MTV.
I guess it was good that I was seeing him at the animation festivals and stuff, so I could actually make that connection.
Yes, that's important. In fact, I showed two excerpts from The Tune on MTV. The Push Jumps to Shove, the two guys fight, which won the big prize at Cannes. That was a strange event. And then the Wise Man, and those were also on Tourney and Spike and Mike.
I really remembered those when I was rewatching The Tune yesterday. I was like, oh, these are super familiar. Where were you in your career when The Tune came about?
I must admit that when I moved to New York from Oregon in '69, animation was pretty dead. There wasn't much going on in animation. Hanna-Barbera, which I hated. So I felt I really want to be an animator, but there's no career there. So I became an illustrator, and I was somewhat successful. I did a lot of men's magazines, Playboy, Penthouse, Screw, people like that, and then a lot of Straight Arrow stuff, New York Times and Rolling Stone, National Lampoon, places like that. And I got by, but I just really had the urge to see my drawings move. Since I was a kid watching Disney and Warner Brothers cartoons, that was my goal in life. And it wasn't until 1985 when this woman, Valeria Vasilevsky, who I did some brochures for, asked me to animate a song that her and Jules Pfeiffer had done. And I thought, oh, this is my opportunity. She knew I wanted to do animation, so she stepped in and hired me to do it. And the film was quite successful. It played in cinemas all over the U.S. It was a very popular short film. And then once I knew how to do it, then I did my shorts. I did my first short, Your Face, which was a phenomenal success. For the first film that you do by yourself, it's pretty rare that it's as successful as Your Face was. And then I did Always Quit Smoking, How to Kiss, One of Those Days, Tunes, a bunch of shorts, and some music videos too. And when I put those together on a video cassette, I realized, geez, that's a feature film. I did a feature film in the last 3 years. And so I said, why not just do a feature film? Just actually create one. And so my musician partner, Maureen McKelleran, was hired to work on the script and do all the music. We want to do a musical along the lines of Yellow Submarine, because I love Yellow Submarine. I love the Beatles, of course. And so we did a bunch of songs, and we wrote out a script and tried to sell it, and nobody wanted to buy it, of course, because we had no money. We were independent. Who knew who we were? We had no fame or anything like that. Fortunately, after Your Face came out and the other films, I started getting a lot of commercials. And there were 2 commercials I got, Trivial Pursuit and NutraSweet. And those 2 commercials gave me enough money to finish the tune. And so it was finished around 1991, I think, something like that. And we got into Sundance. And Sundance, I think we were the first animated feature to get into Sundance, because nobody was doing animated features back then. Disney had done a few, and maybe Japan, but that's about it. And I remember going to a luncheon. They had a luncheon for all the filmmakers, so everybody could meet and greet and exchange stories and stuff. And this nerdy guy comes running up to me. Oh my God, Bill Plympton. Oh, you're the best. You're famous. I've seen all your films. I've seen How to Kiss, One of Those Days, Boomtown, the one I did independently, Boomtown. I saw that, and he started asking me technical questions about the films and how I came up with the idea. And it turns out it was Quentin Tarantino. And this was before Reservoir Dogs had played. And as soon as that played, everybody wanted to talk to him. He was like God. He was the star of the festival. Well, we remain friends. I see him in certain festivals sometimes. We hang out, but we never got to work together. I always wanted to take one of his scripts that he never did and make an animated film out of it, but I don't know that that's ever going to happen. But anyway, it did very well at Sundance. It was a lot of applause, sustained applause, and we were very popular there. But it was an animated film that was not for kids, and the distributors didn't want to touch it. They said, we only do animations only for kids. It's not for adult animation. They can't do that. And so I was very disappointed that we didn't get a bunch of offers, because that was when Sundance literally was a big market. It was all the distributors were there. And we got one distributor, and the catch was they were going to distribute the film, but there was no money up front. And as for an independent film, everything is expenses, and all the money that I was supposed to get went to expenses, posters and film prints and all that stuff. But still, it was fun. We did a lot of festivals, and Maureen and I had some small success with the tune. And it's still been in circulation. It still plays a lot of places. And the Academy were really great. The Academy Board of Governors there decided to refurbish the film. So they got the negative, they cleaned the negative, and redigitized it. And thanks to them, I got a beautiful new print. And that's what they're distributing now on DVD and Blu-ray, is the Academy refurbishment.
You must come up with the idea first, or do you come up with the drawings first and then the ideas flow from them?
No, certainly the idea. We wanted to make an American version of Yellow Submarine, which is one of my favorite films. And with using all types of American music, like rockabilly, surfing music, country western, blues, all the idioms that America has spawned. And her and I wrote a script that was basically about a music writer. Well, you've seen the film, I'm sure. But this music writer, songwriter who has to get a hit in 47 minutes or he's fired. And so that was the urgency where they had to do it. And once we did that, Maureen started doing all the songs. And I started writing the script with her help, obviously. And I think it took about 6 months to do the script and the plan out the music and the dialogue. And we tried to sell it. Like I said, nobody wanted to buy it. So I just said, screw it. I'm not going to sit on this for 10 years waiting for someone to buy it. I'm going to just make it. And so I did all the drawing myself, every drawing. I think it's about 40,000 drawings. I did every drawing myself. And it's different techniques. Some is paint on cells. And then there's also Xerox, the drawings, watercolored and glued to the cell. And there's color pencil on paper for the Wise Man and some other ones. So I wanted to vary the styles of the film so that it would be more interesting and more entertaining. And I think that worked out really well. Plus the music was different too. So there's always a variety going on. And then I wanted to use a lot of my weird surreal gags to try to get the crazy surrealism in there that people find so funny. So there's a lot of ideas in there that I thought were very funny. Some people didn't laugh, but I thought they were hilarious. So who cares?
How did you find your voice talent?
My sound engineer knew some people, and I think I maybe put an ad in Variety or one of those things, one of those magazines. And we had really good voice talent. Daniel Knighton was really good, and some other people that did great. And Maureen did some voices, and it was non-SAG. I couldn't afford SAG. It was just too much money. So we had to hire actors that were not SAG.
Are you shooting this all on 16 or 35?
No, that was shot in 35 on a giant rostrum camera. One thing that's interesting is that I didn't know a lot of musicians either. I wasn't plugged into the music world. And Maureen knew a few musicians, and they were networked. I wanted a country western thing, and so we got Hank Bones, who now does almost all my music with Maureen, and Larry Campbell, who, I don't know if you know him, but he's one of the top pedal steel players in the world. He's played behind Emmylou Harris and Willie Nelson and a bunch of big names. He tours with all the biggies. And I just thought he was a pedal steel player, but boy, he was so good.
Let's see. From what I remember, you had Hank Bones, Larry Campbell. Was it Tom Malone? Is that right?
Bones Malone.
Wow, from the Blues Brothers band.
He was good. He was very good.
And then Mark, is it Ribot?
Mark Rebo. Mark Rebo. That's the one I was trying to remember. And I didn't know he was hot stuff. People come to me, you had Mark Rebo on your band? Wow, that's so cool. So that was a real education for me.
Are you still doing all hand-drawn things and then scanning them? Or how?
Yep, that's it. Wow. That's it. For the tune, it wasn't scanned. It was shot on film, obviously. But from 2005, that's when I switched over to digital. And that really made my life a lot happier. I tell people that before digital, about 75 to 80% of my costs went to technology, going to the labs and getting the sound transfers and the video transfers and all this stuff was just a nightmare. Now, like 20% goes to technology and the rest of that money goes to my artists, which is what it should be. That's what I say. So it was a nightmare doing the old film technology. It just was so many roadblocks, to getting that thing finished.
Oh, boy. I can't even imagine how that must have been for you. You've got studio recordings for the voices, and then you also have to worry about the music as well. And then,
yes,
wow.
And they all wanted money, of course. And fortunately, I had those two commercials to help pay the way. It was a tough time, but I think I did 5 feature films in the old technology. And it's interesting now because everybody's making their films on our iPad. You can make a feature film there. And so now there's thousands of animated feature films not coming out, but being finished. And I like to think that I inspired these guys that, hey, you can make your own feature film by yourself. You don't need to book with Netflix or Disney or anybody like that. Just go home, do a drawing on your iPad and scan it in. It's a really wonderful world.
I can't even imagine how much influence you and your fellow animators in the late 80s, early 90s had through things like Liquid Television, which so many people saw and got inspired by, I'm sure.
No, MTV was a big boost. It was really great working for them. I watched MTV constantly. I really loved it back then. You're probably too young to remember, but it was all the great music and the great art directors and the great animators. That's where you see them, would be on MTV.
You do something in your animation that I've always been curious about how you accomplish it, which is everything pulses. There's that movement to everything. How are you accomplishing that?
That's because I'm cheap and lazy. Basically, if there's someone standing still, most people would just have a still drawing, and they're frozen there. But I do 2 drawings, sometimes 3 drawings of the same pose. I just retrace it on another cell. And so I alternate it on 3s. So there'd be 3 frames of one drawing, 3 frames of drawing number 2, 3 frames of drawing number 3, and then it's just a cycle. And it gives it a throbbing kind of look, and you feel like you got to watch it all the time because you may miss something. So it's a trick I use. I didn't invent it. It's been around for a long time, but I do use it extensively, let's say.
Between that and the colored pencils, I could always tell what your work was as soon as it came up.
Thank you.
How has the process for you changed over the years? You talked about the use of digital technology, but you've made a ton of shorts, a ton of commercials, and many more features since then. How has technology allowed you to continue your work?
The distribution is more varied now. There's a lot of markets to show my films and to sell them. So that helps that I can make money on my films. And that money obviously goes into the next film and so on. So it leapfrogs. But my process is this. After I do an outline, I'll do the storyboards. In fact, I'm working on a new short right now where I'm right in the middle of the storyboards. And then once I complete that, then I'll do an animatic. Do you know what an animatic is?
That middle ground between the two, right? Maybe like moving storyboards?
Exactly, moving storyboards with sound and voices and music and stuff like that. But then if I approve that, and sometimes I show it to people to get feedback. What do you think about this? Do you understand the idea and stuff? And then I'll do the animation. Go right to the animation. And I'll draw it on paper, 8.5 by 11 typing paper. And we test it. And once it's tested, I ink it with a ballpoint pen. I love ballpoint pens. They're really great. And then we scan it on our scanner. And then my helpers, they composite the drawings, or they clean the drawings, and then they composite them. And then they'll add color on top of that. Sometimes I do the color when I draw them with color pencil, but other times they do it digitally. They will digitally put the color on. And that's a very quick way to color a scene, whereas in the Disney days where you had to have some artist do the ink outline, the black outline, and then the other artist would do the coloring, all the parts of the body. And that was very time consuming, and I think that was the largest part of Disney's studio, were the inkers and painters, up to 300 people filling in the colors. But now we can do it digitally. It's so fast. It's so quick.
What was it like for you when you would go into live action things? I love some of your live action stuff, like Hitler's Folly, I think is fantastic.
Thank you. I thought that was really great. I may put it out there as to sell it actually at some point, because now the copyright law has changed. I can use Mickey Mouse and some of those characters without getting sued. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't been so successful with live action films. I like them. I think they're really good. I think Guns of the Clackamas is one of my favorites. Sheila was a complete flop. And then I did a Walt Curtis documentary, about 60 minutes, 70 minutes, something like that. And that was really popular. I actually made money on that. But the Hitler thing, I did it. I think it cost about $10,000 to make. And I never expected to make any money on it. But I just thought it's such a wacky idea that Hitler was supposedly an artist, wanted to be an artist. He didn't want to be a politician. He didn't want to go to war. He just wanted to be an artist. And he was frustrated in art school, so he turned to cartoons. He wanted to make his drawings move. And I thought that was such an absurd basis for a film that it would be lots of fun. I haven't gotten any negative feedback on it yet, fortunately. It's always been positive, but you never know. But I've done 9 animated feature films, and I can't think of any director, maybe Miyazaki, who's an animation director who's made so many feature films as I have. Because usually in Hollywood, they use them for 1 or 2 films and then they disappear because they want to get someone younger or someone with different ideas and stuff. So I'm really proud of the films that I did. I'm proud that the Toon started out this whole new phase of my career. And it was a semi-success. I can't say I got rich on it, but it really got out there. It was on video cassette and DVD and everything. And a lot of people love it. A lot of people sing the songs to me. I love that sort of thing. So for me, I was real proud to make the Toon.
You don't seem like you're satisfied just doing the same thing over and over again. Idiots and Angels was just such a quantum leap. I was like, oh, wow.
Yes, it was. And also Cheatin'. Both those films had no dialogue in them. And I thought, why not give it a shot and see if I can do it? 'Cause I'm not so good at writing scripts. I just like to make the drawings and make the drawings really crazy and bizarre and beautiful. And so I thought, why don't I make up Idiots and Angels and just have visual storytelling, purely visual storytelling. And that was a success. That got in a lot of theaters. And then also Cheatin' did very well too. So, but the new one I'm working on now is called Slide. It does have dialogue and it's doing very well too. So I'm very happy.
I've only seen the trailers for it, but it looks fantastic.
We're still doing the festival circuit, and so the producer, my producer, I should say, doesn't want us to release it yet to the regular people. They want to keep it under wraps, so that's the plan. But we're hoping it comes out this time, sometime next fall.
How many years does it take to make a feature film?
For me, it takes between 2.5 and 3 years. But Slide took 7 years because of COVID. In the middle of working on it, COVID hit, and I had to shut down the studio, and all my markets dried up. Movie theaters, film festivals, Comic Cons, things like that, they all, went away. So I had no money, so I had to take commercial work, like publicity and music videos, and I worked on some documentaries and things like that. So that's why it took so long, and I'm just finishing now. And then I had no money. I was really in debt making this film, extremely in debt. And now I'm finally starting to stop paying for Slide and work and start doing commercial work and starting to pay off the bills. So that's a good feeling that I can do that. And also the film is very successful so far. It's gotten 5 awards and 5 festivals. So we're really positive about the future.
Mr. Plympton, thank you so much for your time. This has been so great talking with you.
Likewise. You seem to know what you're talking about, so that's refreshing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll talk
You
again
bet.
one of these days.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right.
Your face is like a song. Your sweet eyes whisper and I want to sing along. Your features are in tune. Let's sing together and turn every month to June. Your face hums, makes me a happy fellow. No more singing a cappella, no longer lonely. Loving you only. Your lips with mine will rhyme, and when they touch me, it's a symphony divine. Your cheek sure is your hair. Weave me a melody so